Hi, it's Sarah here with the layout process video for you today. I'll be following this summer challenge from Spoonful of Scraps as well as the GoGo Getaway crop. I will link both those groups below for you in case you want to go over and join them and get inspired to create a layout yourself. So first off, I'm taking some papers and cardstocks. This is all from my Mind the Scrap August kit. And I am just starting off by creating a photo mat for my photo of my bigger boy who is almost 6 in a few days time. He's now a big brother, so he's no longer my little boy, and he hates being called little boy now as well. So I'm just matting that photograph there of him with an ice cream. And now I'm going to work on some mixed media for my background. All I've done is my white cardstock is underneath this, and I've just put paper around it so that I don't go over the edges because I'm quite messy at things like this. And I am using some distress oxides through a stencil. I believe this stencil was in one of the mixed media kits. And I'm using squeeze lemonade, spice marmalade and picked raspberry maybe, I think, or it might be the worn lipstick one. Anyway, yellow, orange and pink, quite vibrant colours, and it's the oxide ones, so they're really thick kind of ink. And then once I've blended those in, I'm going over the top with water, quite a lot of water, so that it runs a bit and it bleaches out some of the colour there. I will work on that further later on to add a little bit more around the edges. So next up, I'm just trimming down some papers from my Mind the Scrap kit. I'm using lots of nice bright rainbow colours here, and I'm also using some of the small pattern papers that came in the Bujo kit in the 6x6 pad, which coordinate brilliantly with the main kit. I also want to add some extra solid colours in amongst all that pattern so it's not too busy, to break things up a bit. So I'm just pulling out some extras there in the orange, and then I also choose a blue gingham style one. I've got my title, or one of my titles. I've got two pieces that could be classed as a title, I suppose, here on this layout, and I'm just layering it with some of the orangey pink cardstock and some of this blue as well. And in order not to waste loads of that blue, I'm just trimming down a couple of pieces that will then sit behind my paper cluster there. I'll distress all the edges of these. I don't show every single bit of this because it does take a little bit of time and it's just very repetitive, so I'll just show you the first bit. I just take my scissors and carefully go around the edges to make them distressed. I then add a piece of thin foam and stick that down, and then I repeat that process, adding foam here and there between my layers wherever I decide I feel like I'd like them lifted slightly, and I just keep adding layers up as I go along. And I'll do the same with the title at the top, just to add a bit of foam in between, just to help the main piece stand up off the page a little. And I think that's it for my papers now. So now I want to add a little more interest to my background bit. So I've taken the iridescent flakes that came in the mixed media add-on this month, added some glue, pressed them down, and now I've put them off to one side. I'm now taking my bloom box, and this is the white scrappers box, so all the flowers in this are white. There's lots of different smaller flowers that have less dimension, so that they work quite well on a scrapbook layout, whereas some of the larger ones are too big to go in a folder, so they only work if you frame it, really. So I'm taking the three colours that I used for my background, and I'm just showing you the three different methods of doing this. So the first one was simply taking the distress oxide spray, giving it a good shake, and then just spritzing the flower, turning the flower over and making sure that all the white is covered by adding an extra spritz, and then I just smush it into the ink as well a little bit. The second one is the re-inker from the same Distress Oxides, but the orange one, and I shake it well, drop a little bit on my glass mat, add plenty of water to it to get it moving so that the pigment absorbs into the paper really nicely. And then I simply just paint the flowers and make sure I turn it over to make sure I've got all of the flower done. These are mulberry paper flowers, so they take water really well, but they do need to be left to dry so that they don't tear. They're pretty sturdy anyway, but with any wet paper you need to kind of give it some time so that it can dry properly, and then it goes back to being a nice thick strong paper again. And for the third one, I am just taking the ink pad this time, and I smush it onto the surface, add some water, and again using the paintbrush to paint the colour on. And if it's not vibrant enough, you can just, like I did, add a little more ink to it. I did actually paint the second one off camera, that's why I cut that bit out there. So while they are left to one side to dry, I'm going to have a look at how my iridescent flakes are getting on here. I go around the edges to get rid of any pieces that aren't attached first of all, and tip them back into the pot. And then after I've done this, I go back in again and use a fine brush, just to, because I don't want to end up accidentally pulling the flakes off, so this time I'm just brushing them off gently with a brush to make sure I've got all the little excess pieces off. And now I'm just going to add a few embellishments. I go through all the embellishments that came in the kits, and as you can see, I'm just adding on a peg at the top, a couple of word stickers. This was a vellum shape, so I just backed it with white cardstock so it stands out a little better. Then I'm just adding some enamel dots in a cluster of 3 here and there, using colours that match in with the papers. I have this cute little rainbow there as well. I have another sticker which I guess is kind of a subtitle, or one of the titles for it. I had another sticker at the top there, and then a little bird as well. Some of these items are so that they're in conjunction with the challenges I took part in, so it was a really good excuse to use up those fun, sweet little whimsical, quite random embellishments like flamingos and birds and things. I also added a load of puffy stickers which were ice lollies, which went in nicely with the theme, and some puffy sticker style sequins. And now I'm using my gel medium to attach my flowers. I add a blob to the back of each flower and then just gently press them down, and then give them a nice amount of time to set in place. There's plenty of wiggle room with the gel medium, but once it's stuck really nice and well. And I do apologise, the last bit of my video did go missing. I just added some pink splatters and some sequins that matched in with the iridescent flakes. So that is it from me. Here's some close-ups. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like, and I'd love it if you would subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in my next video. Links to all the products will be below. Bye!